man, I mean, there are so many shocking things culturally I've experienced here that people found to be just regular. But man, it's not regular. This is not how they get down everywhere. I just was watching a fascinating video. I'm gonna drop it in my channel. Shouts out to the channel too. We just got to 100 people in the channel. I don't even be using the channel like that. I know I created it initially, but now I've been more intentional about it since I wanted to start this live series. We just hit 100 people in the channel, man. So I'm gonna drop these 2 videos I watched last night. One was about the 10 most wealthy black women in Philadelphia, all their stories and how they came up on that. But then juxtaposing it, there was one about Jewish families, the most wealthiest Jewish families in Philadelphia. And man, if you would see the difference in the impact that, you know, both these people had, one culturally, one financially and stuff like that. And, you know, both of them had a financial and cultural impact. But man, I'm gonna put these in my channel, and I guarantee you, if y'all watch those, they're both about 25-minute videos. And like, let me tell you, bro, they are powerful, especially to this that I've written here. Oh man, when I write the part 2 to this and I incorporate those videos, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So it's like Samira said, it's like my experience here is totally different. I'm pretty sure people don't even look up the things I be looking up. Okay, so Marvin, what's going on, Marvin? Turned on notifications for the next time. I can feel the community you're calling to. They will hear you. California time. Off to work. Oh, wow. Shouts out to Cali in the building. Shouts out to Cali in the building. We hitting Cali. And that was honestly one of my intentions of doing this, was because I'm not a Philly-bound person, bro. I'm not staying in Philly forever. And I always affirm this, and I've always shared this with anybody who I've grown close with, is like, all of this is so I can export this across the diaspora. That's why what Samira said was so powerful, because Newport St. News, Africa. Newport St. News, Caribbean. You heard me. Newport St. News, Global South. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we going everywhere. Still growing worldwide. You dig? And that's why I want to go Still Growing live on them, because we wanted to create a space where Cali could pull up and experience what we doing and understand more about the brand. So that's another check box off for me. You feel me? Cali in the building. When y'all watching this back, if y'all watching this far, let me know where y'all from. Shoot, when I clip this up, let me know where we at. Who knows about Still Growing? Where we at? You hear me? So this Thursday I'm booked, but are you guys going to have something the following weeks as well? Yeah, so it's gonna be every month. You heard me? It's gonna be every month. So yeah, we'll definitely coordinate with you much sooner, but I'll make sure I connect y'all before the end of the day, because we're definitely looking for a consistent set of people to like host the music there. So this is one of the pieces I wrote, right, called The Infrastructure Gap, right? Beyond the hustle and the handout, right? So I'm gonna read a little bit about it, and then I'm gonna just, you know, give y'all some, you know, like some director's cuts, right? So y'all can read it, and then it's like, oh, but this is what he meant. This is what he was feeling like. This is what he was, where he was coming from, right? So I have a genuine love for Black people, and because of that love, I have to be honest about the way we move. One thing I cannot stand is poor business, specifically when our spaces are so drenched in the habits of capitalism and colonialism that all we do is practice them on one another. I am not a Black capitalist. I don't believe that simply making more money or owning more storefronts will save us. Our liberation lies in unification, in the collective attack on systemic injustice, and in true revolution. However, business is the terrain we currently occupy, and right now we are losing because we practice predatory behavior and call it basic business. Whether it's white corporate greed or Black street hustle, the desire to get the most profit for the least effort is equally corrosive. It is a bottom line mentality and eventually forgets the humanity of the people it's supposed to serve. So shouts out to, you know what I mean? Is that Camille? That's definitely Camille. What's happening, Camille? You heard me? We ain't here Still Growing sessions, you dig? You still got to make it out to one of these, man. You got to show up for a Still Growing sessions. It's all the way in August. There's no reason you can't make it. Go ahead and get your ticket now, right? Samira, Camille, man, how do I pronounce your name, bro? I don't want to say it wrong. I'm gonna call you King. That's what we're gonna do, bro. I'm gonna call you King. King, Camille, Samira, go ahead and get y'all tickets now, man. I want to see y'all on the 9th. Oh, she said I'm signed up already. Let me pin that. So while you hear Camille, or before you leave, let them know who you are, what you do, and more importantly, who you are, right? What you do is, those things change all the time. We all change and grow and evolve. But like, who are you? What would you like the world, how you feeling today, if nothing else? How you feeling today? Where you at? How you holding space, right? So I started off my article in that way because in my life, I've learned that capitalism is not a vehicle for liberation, right? That's what my whole year has been about, is deconstructing this whole myth of capitalism as it relates to black people, that we're gonna get money and that this is gonna fix our situation, right? Shouts out to all of the people who do get money and create like an aspiration that we can achieve and some goals that we can strive for, but that's on an individual level, right? And my goal as a Rasta and a Pan-Africanist and a revolutionary activist is like, yo, we all got to get free, even the non-black people, bro. Like, it's important that human beings are free. I know that's a very odd concept these days. You know what I mean? The way that capitalism is entrenched in all different cultures of our lives, where somebody feel like somebody got to manage somebody, and somebody got to police somebody, and somebody got to make money, and somebody got to lose. And it's a very weird concept, but it's always something that I've always been like disdain from. I just couldn't name it. You get me? So that's why I started off my article in that capacity, whether it's in the corporate spaces or it's in the trenches. You know what I mean? I done been in both, right? Hey y'all, I'm a creative, a smiling soul, and a really sparkly person. I'm also a photographer who does black and white candid photography. So why did I go this whole time not knowing that was your twist? Like, I knew you was into the black and white vibes, but I didn't know you was like intentional about being a photographer. So me and Neptune actually have, like, we're trying to do photography for this. It's a black and white shirt, so I'm pretty sure this would look super cold black and white photo vibes. So I don't know if we have too much time left, but me, you, and Nep need to maybe start a group chat, and we need to do a photo shoot, sis. Like, we've been looking for a photographer for like 2 weeks. So that's on us for not knowing that that's how you get down. I've been seeing your work. I've seen the 2 pages you got and all of that, but I'm just like, I didn't know that was your twist. You got like, man, I got cameras. You heard me? I got all this stuff. So we got to get up. You heard me? But yeah, nah, capitalism is not a vehicle for liberation. Absolutely not. So I'm going to read 2 more spots out of this, and then I'm going to go to my other article, and then, you know, I'm going to just leave the floor open for any feedback. And then we're going to get out of here, man, because like I said, I don't want to hold y'all too long. We get into the 30-minute mark, so we're going to get out of here before 45 minutes, right? So this is another part that I wrote in my article. Shouts out to my guy, George. Yo, George, before we leave, if you want to, you know, share anything, let me know, man, because this is my co-host. This is my guy. Yeah. We've been in here going at it, bro. Yeah, I'm so excited to see you here, man. I'm so excited to see you here. So, yeah, I'm filmed by Cam. I do everything on my iPhone, so whatever you see, it's all through there. Man, look, I seen your work. It's fly. So we gonna get to it. We gonna figure it out. I love this idea of even doing it on the phone. I like that aesthetic more. Like, to keep it a stack with you, I like that the best. You know what I mean? Like, the way that works. So, you know, and we could do videos too. Like, I'm with that. So so this is another part of my article I'm gonna read. For time's sake, actually, I'm gonna read this part out of the article, and then I'm gonna read 2 parts out of my other article. And then, you know what I mean, we're gonna leave it out for any feedback, any sentiments, anybody who wants to come on the live and share anything, and then we're gonna be out of here, right? So we have to talk about the reality of Philadelphia, right? We are approaching a crescendo that I don't think we are ready for. Now, mind you, I wrote this in March, so if it sounds a bit dated, that's why. Between the 250th anniversary of the country and the FIFA World Cup, the city is about to enter a portal. On June 19th, Haiti versus Brazil will play at the World Cup on the same day that the Wawa Welcome to America Festival begins its 16-day run. This is the moment where Philadelphia is going to be in a global chokehold. Here is the brutal truth, right? Most of us are not ready. Because of the survival trap, many black businesses, and the survival trap is a concept that I've invented, right? The survival trap is, what the context says, right? It's like you are in a trap based on your survival needs. Like you create a trapped mentality, a trapped behavior, a trapped effort. You trap yourself because of the way survival works on you as an actual pressure and reality, but also how it works on your mind, right? This will be my podcast episode of the day. Oh wow, I'm honored. That's beautiful. I'm gonna post this on my Substack, so if everything you missed, you can see it from beginning to end if you're interested too. So because of the survival trap, many black businesses are only looking at next month's rent, right? Or a few months rent ahead. They are not looking at the next 2 to 3 years. They think we can throw together a quick after party or a quick pop-up to capitalize on the momentum. But they won't have the data. They won't have the community. They won't have the notoriety. They only have they don't have the continuity that the city and the major corporations have spent years building. When this wave hits, black businesses are going to take a bullet to the kneecap, metaphorically. Guys, we're not, no violence. We will never walk the same again. If you are not already in the infrastructure of what will become the mainstream Philadelphia culture, you will be forgotten. People will not spend their limited time and money on disorganized last-minute offers when the world is offering them a coordinated, consistent experience. So let's tie these two parts together that I mentioned, right? Because the first premise and the first premise of my thesis was like, it's the mentality, right? Whether we operate in corporate mentality in our black businesses or we operate in like street culture, hood shit, right? Both of these mentalities are not serving us any longer, right? Chastising those who have the sleek, clean, professional look and presentation of everything, right? Because they're emulating and pulling from a lot of the predominantly white spaces that they've worked from. That don't work no more because the white people do the best rendition of white people stuff, right? So doing your black version of white people stuff is not going to be competitive. It's not a competitive advantage. I know a lot of people push back on that, like, oh, what do you mean I'm doing it the white way? And it's like, well, if it's derived and rooted in how settler colonial America derived it, then that's white people stuff. I know that that's hard for people to digest because we've been here for 400 years being colonized. So we speak their language, we read their books, we go to their schools, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like a non-realistic effort to make to not be white or whitewashed. So it's not that it's not possible. People just don't see it as practical, right? But that's not my business what they feel like is practical because I don't operate in that way. So I'm a testament that it's possible. But then there's also the street part, the hood part, the disenfranchised version of our culture in America, removed from the global diaspora, removed from, integrity and dignity and a sense of self-worth and self-love. And that's what I see a lot of black people typically are more, is more appealing to them, right? Like they can recognize that we need to be healed, but they don't always want to recognize that we can be decolonized in our minds. So it's like, oh, we all have trauma. We've all experienced violence or negative imagery in our communities. Like we're all willing to agree to that and how detrimental and how that's been to us as a community and a culture. I feel like they're equally dysfunctional, right? Wanting to be accepted and operating in predominantly white spaces as well as being, completely guided and completely influenced by like what goes on in the dilapidation of our neighborhoods that are owned and controlled by, settler colonial entities, right? So that's where I bring both of these to the table and say, these things are not going to sustain us as a culture, right? And it's definitely not going to help us create a connection across, lines geographically, right? The way we engage with our Caribbean brothers and sisters and the way we should be, engaging with our brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers from the continent is like, we have to see the common thread between all of our indoctrination and suffering across the diaspora. That's such a larger offer if we're talking about just competing in capitalism or just an economic model. Like, us stretched across the diaspora is way more advantageous if we're just looking at it from that, component or that metric of winning systemically and, some kind of economic vehicle, right? That's why I say capitalism, isn't it? Pan-Africanism is a better, monetary system, if you will, than practicing capitalism. But this is not that conversation. The reason I'm tying that point I initially made into this, what I have it titled here, the 2026 portal, the kneecap moment, right? The kneecap, the shot to the kneecap I mentioned metaphorically, right? The reason I'm tying that in is because this is a perfect zoom out moment, right? When you see how infrastructurally Philadelphia set itself up to inherit the wealth, the tourism, and the resources of the people who are practicing tourism here in Philadelphia, right? It's like they sell the idea to Black-owned businesses that you are going to get some of the runoff of this participation. But we've just crossed the 19th, right? June 19th, as I mentioned, and it didn't happen, right? The same amount of traffic, the same attendees, the same things that we've normally organized and held, if not less, because of the offers and options that are available. Nothing was a super increase, right? Nothing increased dramatically. All of the predominantly Black spaces that I went into were still predominantly Black. There wasn't a bunch of tourists coming by spending a bunch of new money with anybody. That's not what happened. And, we still have the rest of this stretch to go. So when I write these things, I hope I'm wrong. I hope y'all go and make a whole bunch of money. I did hear that the food trucks made a surplus of $1 million, right? There's a story going around that food trucks in specific designated areas that were, FIFA organized, they made a surplus of $1 million, but it's already recorded that $140 million has already been made by FIFA, but not to the city of Philadelphia. So everything that I'm saying has evidence of being true. Now, could something possibly happen from this point on? I would like to believe that as much as anybody else, because it actually helps us. But the part that I want you to take away from here, right? What I want to conclude with on this point is, we did not spend this time creating a cohesive ecosystem amongst ourselves. We all have 250 banners and FIFA colored stuff and just a bunch of commercial and trendy offers. But this would have been a great opportunity to create a stronghold and create a collective offer and effort. Now, I've gotten to the point where I don't believe or I don't see that effort as a committed effort, right? I don't see a committed effort to doing that. So I'm being what's the word? Optimistic here, to say the least, right? But I want to end this point by saying we all got engaged with what the city told us as far as why they're engaging our communities. And I was in 5 Black businesses. I'm not going to name them, but I've heard the conversations about, oh, this is what you need your store to look like. This is what you need to make your products be like. This is how you need to engage the tourism. This is where you need to put your focus at. And when I saw it, I kept it to myself, and I thought of it as, Philadelphia is treating you like it's children, and they're saying that we're going to have guests, right? Y'all don't remember when our parents used to have guests over and they used to shut the back doors in the house and clean up in the front room and make it look like the house was way more organized than it actually was? That's what Philadelphia did with its Black population. It came to everybody and said, look, if you don't get in line, we're going to lock you up, right? Because if we look at where the city budget was allocated, if we see where Sherelle Parker's money has been designated, the police budget accumulatively was more than all of the other sectors and efforts that she made to subsidize the other, human services and, city organized organizations, right? The police got over $800 million. And if you look at the school budget, the septic and like, what do they call that? The people who clean up the trash and stuff like that, waste management. Like if you look at all of the other places where the money was allocated, you could combine all 9 to 11 of those and they still wouldn't equal as much as they injected into the police budget. And guess what department didn't get any of that money? The public defense sector. So they're going to come police you if you're not participating in the way that tourism is set up in Philadelphia, and that's why the commercial activity licenses have been much more showing up as far as them asking for them. The insurance, the tax IDs, all of these things are now a part of pushing out black people because they know that this is how we practice our business, right? We don't operate in that way. But if they say that we're going to police you if you don't have these things, we're going to fine you, it takes you out of the equation unless you're working with them. So that's my concept for today, man. You can go read those 2 articles. I mean, you can go read that article. I'm going to go to the second one so I don't take up too much more time. I got about 9 or 10 minutes left. But I want to reel it back a second, read some of these comments because I see a lot of lovely comments coming in. And y'all's feedback is more important than what I've got to say because like I said, this is already on my Substack. You can go get the deep dive. I'll be writing. Yo, you go listen to my Substacks, bro. They like 30 minutes long. You getting a whole podcast, little mini audio book kind of vibe. Like I really be writing. So, you know what I mean? Tap in with that. So let's take a look here, right? Samira said, love that TJ said, shout out to the people who get the money earlier. Yeah, because kudos to the people stacking, and we got to thrive even through this system that isn't built for us, right? Be conscious and critique it too. I love that because it's like, yo, abundance is our birthright, man. And this is why I practice Pan-Africanism, is because we are stewards of the planet, right? You know what I mean? We touch the land, to the cosmos. From the land to the cosmos. You know what I mean? I'm divinely protected and it's conspired for my greatest good. So I'm always authoring and always architecting that we take our power back. I go into these black-owned spaces and I be like, if you don't get into that mud and into that cloth of what our ancestors are and left for us, and leave all of the tactics and the strategies of today and the policy and all of the things that are constructed to create power for other groups of people, man. You know what I mean? White supremacy got room for other people to get money, but it's not going to never let you inherit your birthright and truly like align with your divine purpose, right? You're just going to always work for a C word. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're going to demonetize me if I say, you know, the Ritz crackers. You get me? Like, you're going to always be underneath them. So it's like, you might see a little paper or something, but you ain't going to never have your powers. You dig me? So let's see what else we got here. My man George. Yes, let him know I'm here for the tribe, as you know. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's tribe season. They truly did a bait and switch. This is from Tony. And Tony is a top tier vendor, right? Tony hits 10 plus events a month. So don't listen to me. Listen to somebody who's out in the field experiencing it way more than me. I might be popping it and vending here and there, but Tony really be there, right? They truly did a bait and switch as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the vendors. And it's a shame how many people changed their schedules and all thinking it was going to be a huge benefit. Absolutely. And it's sad that our people, right, are participating in it. Something I want to leave y'all with as far as the whole vending thing, because it's been on my heart, is like a lot of the sponsorships and a lot of the grants stopped coming out ever since this current administration. So what a lot of our black capitalists or our black, middle economic class people who want to, throw programs, they get a lot of their money from programs that manage the poor, right? Engaging the poor where the white people don't want to engage us, right? So that's where a lot of our middle class, managerial, academic class get their money from, right? Social work, nonviolence stuff, educational deficits and stuff like that. They manage the poor of their own community. Now, since they're not getting no subsidies for that no more, they're not going to put up their own bread for that. And who are they asking? The vendors, the attendees, right? Because they're not getting the subsidies from the sponsorships, from the corporate sponsorships. Because what did I say? If white people only engage you because you do the black version of being white, then they're just going to engage with white people. They're going to engage with the other groups of minorities that have been, immigrating to the country. And they're also going to engage with the minorities of being white, whether that be LGBTQ or, disabled groups of people. They can subsidize them as well. We're not the largest minority no more. They don't absolve their guilt by engaging us anymore, especially not this administration. So that's one thing I'll say is like, they're asking us for the money now, and they're calling it black business and circulating the black dollar and they're reeling you into this whole group economics thing when it's really just capitalism, right? They're like, yo, we need to stick together and you need to spend your money with me. But it's like, no, because if structurally, infrastructurally, and logistically, a lot of these events that Philadelphia are throwing are actually really lit. They actually fun. Whether it's Summerfest or, like the free museum days, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff that Philadelphia putting together is actually fly. So if it's a matter of me paying $200, $300 to get a guaranteed opportunity to at least get the foot traffic, you better off actually going with the city of Philadelphia at this point. And they've gentrified the creative spaces. They pulled a few of us out as far as DJs for continuity, right? They pull out a few program people, project managers, brands, and they'll pull. This is just the same thing that they always do, bro. It's just putting somebody who looks a token. It's the token strategy. We'll pull out the popular one. We'll pull out a few of them that they like. And then that's the continuity for us to be able to leverage the offer that they initially held as leverage, right? So shouts out to Jordy Lee. Jordy? Can you put your name in the comments? Jordy, introduce yourself. I don't think I'm saying that right. Same thing with you, Tony. Let them know who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's part of what we doing here. It's just letting people know who we are. It's not very important what we do. What we do will always change and continue to grow and evolve. But like, I'm here to know who y'all are, man. Like, if y'all got time, make sure y'all register for the event. Shouts out to Kid Biz. Let them know who you is. 800 million is crazy, ain't it though? 800 million is crazy, ain't it though? Look it up. I ain't sitting here. I'm not gonna tell you something I ain't read and look up. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much a look it up kind of person. Okay? I'm very much a look it up kind of person. Money did Philadelphia give to its police budget recently? And you got to think, people in the current administration, they like to see that. They like, oh, y'all gonna make sure y'all police these people. That's what's up. Philadelphia City Council Philadelphia City Council, and this was a simple Google search. I pulled this up 5 seconds, y'all. Philadelphia City Council passed a $6.8 billion One Philly 2.0 budget, which allotted roughly $872 million specifically for the Philadelphia Police Department, right? The funding represents several key details for the PPD. Operational increase. The $872 million figure was about $20 million increase over the previous year's fiscal year's actual expenditures. So they get this $800 million on the comm every year. Wage and benefit allocation. The vast majority of its operational budget, roughly 95% of it, goes towards employees' salaries and benefits. Right? Capital investment. Alongside the operating budget, the mayor Sherelle Parker's public safety plan set aside additional funds, including capital funding for new forensic labs in West Philadelphia. I bet. Because what is West Philadelphia known for? The most. Y'all let me know in the comments. If anybody, anti-violence community grants, right? But anyway, I'm not going to keep going with that. I wish I could hop on your live, but I'm at work. I definitely have some perspective I'd want to speak. I'm not super informed about everything the way you are, but there are some beliefs I have. Man, look, if we don't believe nothing, man, you know what I mean? That's what make us human, bro. I always tell Tony, or I've shared with Tony before my idea about beliefs, right? I'm gonna pin you because this is I felt that. we have beliefs so that we can survive ourselves, right? And then we survive our beliefs, right? It's an interchangeable experience, right? We have beliefs so that we can survive what we don't know, right? You believe something because you don't know what the world truly has. What's the truth? What's the evidence? Like everything that actually is at the time. So you have a belief. It's like when you believe that the sky is raining because it's God's tears. I remember that's what my folks told me when I was younger. It rains when God cries, right? So I believed that because it made things feel better. And then, you know, I lived long enough to survive that belief to learn more about precipitation at school and science and stuff like that. But then now I also, you know, I survived the rain, right? And then when some days I would like to believe it's not going to rain, right? Even when it says it's going to rain through the meteorologist stuff, right? So that's just an example of what I mean. Like we have beliefs so that we can survive, and then we survive long enough to create new beliefs, man. Like that's the human experience. At least that's something that I've always shared. Shouts out to Trey. Shouts out to my man Koff. Man, I would love to get some of your I would love to get some of your feedback one day on some of my articles, man. Koff is a wizard. I'm telling you. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm telling you. That's a God in the building. You know what I mean? A God is into the chat. Shouts out to my man Koff. All right, so I feel like that was a good way to engage with the commentary. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna leave this on this note. I'm gonna do my cleanup. I'm gonna clean up the chat, clean up the vibes, and then we out of here, right? So the call to action today is RSVP in the chat. August 9th, still growing session. You know what I mean? We're gonna be diving deeper. My man George is gonna be the co-host. Tony Lavelle is going to be doing a demonstration about eclectricity, you know what I mean, and just her entire journey and brand as well. Shouts out to Gabrielle who just joined the chat. And then also make sure y'all tap in with the Substack because that's where a lot of the deep dives for them articles was at. It's very important that y'all subscribe, bro. You know what I mean? This is what allows the independent media to like live because I don't get sponsorships and grants. You know, I accept grants and I accept sponsorships. I'm not saying I'm not, but I'll say it like this. If our oppressor never gonna give us enough grant money to liberate us, man. If people make your kid, if people create an environment where your kids can't read, they can't get adequate food, they can't get adequate water, they can't get adequate protection and resources, you think they're gonna give us enough grant money to fix that? No. Philanthropy is a key part of capitalism. Being a capitalist requires you to have philanthropy. It requires you to have poor people. The philanthropy allows the people who are aspiring to, you know, be in the working class. They're like, oh, okay, we can trust our capitalists because they're philanthropic. When in reality, they're extracting more wealth from the working class than they are the impoverished. Because the impoverished don't got no wealth to give back to the system anyway. You already impoverished. You don't got no money. You're being subsidized anyway. It's the working class who really gets more extracted from them than anybody. So they prop up rich people. They throw philanthropy in your face as a working class person to make you feel good about going to work when you're the one paying the majority of the taxes. You're the one paying the majority of the rent. You're the one paying the majority of the gas. You're paying for everything. And the working class person is the most powerful entity in this whole capitalistic system, bro. So it's like, I just want to encourage us to be more politically aware of the power that we have because, you know, the people who are poor are a part of the system of capitalism. It's what keeps the system going. Why are poor and people in poverty, you know, important? Because they're the people who make up the jails. This is who's going to make up the free labor, which capitalism benefits from the most, is getting free labor. You get what I'm saying? Or very low cost labor. You dig me? And a lot of our public servants, I know we hate to hear it, but they are definitely agents of what helps the system manage the relationship between working class people and, you know, people in poverty, so that the people with actual money, trillions and billions of dollars, they're not even thinking about that. They thinking about building new stadiums. They're not thinking about engaging the poor. They're like, look, you deal with the poor people. I'll pay you to deal with the poor people. I'll make sure you got benefits, salary. What they say, they gave an extra $20 million to the police precinct while already giving them $800 million. And all that's going to do is ensure that the money gets to where it needs to go, because that's what the police is for. Protecting assets of the rich, you know what I mean? Protecting the buildings, protecting all of the stores and stuff like that. And then the people who don't comply, they got to go to jail, right? So your police are very important to an infrastructure like this in a city. You know what I mean? And that's what I talk about in my Substack. I get into the deep dives. I give y'all the numbers. I give y'all the citations. I'm really big on citations. If you ain't got no citations, I'm good. I don't want it if it ain't got no citations. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no evidence. I'm good on it, right? And when I get out of here, I'm gonna drop 2 links inside of my channel. So make sure y'all check my channel, because one of the videos is about the top 10 richest black women in Philadelphia. I just watched this last night, and then, you know, I would love some feedback on that. I'm even starting a little chat inside of my YouTube. YouTube got this new feature where you could send messages inside YouTube, and we could talk about the videos there. So just let me know, man. And then the other one is about the most wealthiest Jewish families in Philadelphia. I feel like that one was way more like crazy, because they really actually shaped the entire culture of what we call Philadelphia today. 76ers, the Eagles, the financials, the real estate, the student housing, everything that y'all know today as Philadelphia was created by like 10 Jewish families, bro. That shit was so crazy hearing that shit. And then meanwhile, they parade other, you know, notable figures in front of us to make us feel like those are the people who shape the culture, but those are the people who, I'm use my words as kindly as possible, they're the ones who export it, but to who? To the highest bidder. You know what I mean? A lot of the people that we put our trust in as far as managerial class, black people with money or a platform, especially in music and, you know, arts and entertainment, a lot of times, you know, they're soliciting and exporting our most intimate and precious IP ideas and experiences to the highest bidder, and it's not being preserved inside of our community or our culture. You dig? So I'm out of here, man. That was my time. You know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all in 2 weeks at the next Still Growing Sessions live recording type situation, and I'm gonna put this one on my Substack if you want to run it back. You dig?